glucose, and it also produces oxygen, which is very much beneficial to almost all organisms. So what particular part of the plant does photosynthesis happens? Photosynthesis happens in chloroplast, which contain the green color called chlorophyll. So let me ask you, what is the needed energy for the plant to create their own food? So where does the energy comes from? If you have answered light energy, so you are very much correct. So in order for plants to create their own food, they need light from sunlight. So if we would try to summarize the process of photosynthesis in one sentence, what would it be? Any idea? Okay, to sum it up, the process of photosynthesis is this one. Photosynthesis is a chemical reaction that takes place in the chloroplast of green plant cells, where light energy is used to convert carbon dioxide and water into glucose and oxygen. Now, how are you going to put a word equation for this chemical reaction? So the word equation for the process of photosynthesis would look like this one. So carbon dioxide plus water using light energy would produce glucose and oxygen. So we already know that the reaction of photosynthesis can be represented by the following equation. Carbon dioxide combines with water using light energy would produce glucose and oxygen. Now, if we are going to write the symbol equation for this reaction, it would look like this one. So for the symbol for carbon dioxide is CO2, the symbol for water is H2O, where glucose is C6H12 and O2, and of course for oxygen is O2. Now, if we are going to observe a balanced symbol equation, so it would look like this one. 6 carbon dioxide combines with 6 water using light energy to yield glucose and 6 oxygen. Now that we already know the basic requirements for photosynthesis to happen, now let us take a closer look on the process of photosynthesis, the parts that are involved, and the products and the raw materials that are needed in order for it to happen. As we all know, photosynthesis is divided into two stages. But before that, can you still recall what particular part of the plant does photosynthesis happens? Okay, if you have answered leaves, that is correct. Because leaves has the abundant cells or the particular cellular organelles which is known as chloroplast. And as we all know, chloroplast contains chlorophyll, wherein this is where photosynthesis happens. Now, photosynthesis is divided into two stages. The first one is the light-dependent reaction, and the second one would be Calvin cycle. For light-dependent reaction, the raw materials needed would be light and water, and the byproduct of this process would be oxygen. For the Calvin cycle, on the other hand, the raw materials needed is carbon dioxide and ultimately would produce glucose, which is the food of the plant. You should also remember that light-dependent reaction happens in the thylakoids while Calvin cycle happens in the stroma. Now, light-dependent reaction happens in the thylakoids, and in this stage where light energy is converted into chemical energy. So light-dependent reaction produces the NADPH or the nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate and the adenosine triphosphate that would now power up the Calvin cycle. So to sum it up, photosynthesis includes light-dependent reaction and uses water and energy from sunlight to produce adenosine triphosphate, NADPH, and oxygen. And you should remember that it takes place in the thylakoids. On the other hand, Calvin cycle uses ATP and NADPH, which, from what you remembered, this is what is produced through the light-dependent reaction. And of course, carbon dioxide, in order for it to be producing NADP, high energy sugars, and ADP plus B. Now let us explore the parts and functions of a chloroplast. Now the chloroplast has the following structure. So the first one is its double-layered lipid membrane, which is composed of the outer and the inner membrane. So this has a narrow space in between, as you can see on the picture. The second one, the spaces between the thylakoids, is known as the stroma. So the stroma is a watery liquid containing DNA, ribosomes, and enzymes. Now, if you are going to stack the thylakoids, just like this one, which looks like a stack of pancakes, this would be now called as a granum. Whereas, each of the parts of a granum is known as the thylakoids, which is a flat hollow membrane covered interconnected discs arranged in stacks. Now, what connects the thylakoids, which is this one, these tubes, is known as the lamellae. Now, let us discover the factors affecting the rate of photosynthesis. So, the identified limiting factors for the process of photosynthesis are as follows. First one would be carbon dioxide concentration, water availability, light, nutrient elements, chlorophyll, and temperatures. We already know that photosynthesis is a chemical reaction, and so just like any other chemical reaction, it has a rate, whether it is fast or slow. So like many reactions, photosynthesis is catalyzed by enzymes. So is the rate of photosynthesis always the same? Definitely not. So which factors do you think affect the rate of photosynthesis? So as what we have discussed earlier, photosynthesis can be affected by light, carbon dioxide, temperature, and chlorophyll. So you might be wondering, how does light affect photosynthesis? And from our previous discussions, you already know that light is essential through the process of photosynthesis. Without it, photosynthesis would simply not happen. Light energy has to be absorbed by chlorophyll for photosynthesis to take place. We already know that it is light energy that is being used in order for plant to produce its own food. So how does light affect photosynthesis? So you should remember that the brighter the light, the more light energy there is. So which do you think would happen? Would photosynthesis be faster or slower? Definitely, more light energy means that photosynthesis will be faster. If light intensity, on the other hand, is too high, plant cells, however, can be damaged. And how is photosynthesis affected if this happens? Of course, if plant cells would be damaged, then of course, the rate of photosynthesis would be reduced. We already know that another raw materials that is needed for the process of photosynthesis aside from light is carbon dioxide. So how does carbon dioxide affects the rate of photosynthesis? The concentration of carbon dioxide in the air is actually quite low, which is 0.03%. So in greenhouse gases or commercial greenhouse gases, it is often raised to 0.1%. So why do you think they do it? Okay, of course, just like in light, more carbon dioxide means more photosynthesis, so plants mix more food and grow more quickly if there is higher concentration of carbon dioxide. Now let us explore how temperature affects photosynthesis. You should remember that photosynthesis is controlled by enzymes, and it usually works best at warmer temperatures. So if it gets too cold or if it gets too hot, then temperature would be reduced. Now, we already know that increasing in temperature is somewhat beneficial to the plants. So does that it mean if increasing temperature always increase the rate of photosynthesis? Okay, not necessarily so. Because if it gets too hot, above 40 degrees Celsius, the enzymes needed for photosynthesis will break down and are destroyed or denatured. So as an effect, the rate of photosynthesis decreases or even stops completely. This time, we are going to explore cellular respiration. We already know that both photosynthesis and respiration aims to provide energy in order for the organisms to live. We know that energy for living things comes from food, but you should remember that originally the energy in food comes from the sun. Organisms that uses light energy from the sun to produce food are known as autotrophs. When you say auto, which means self, and troph, which means to feed. So examples of autotrophs or the producers are plants and some microorganisms. On the other hand, organisms that cannot use the sun's energy to make food and must get their energy from consuming other organisms are known as heterotrophs. So examples of the heterotrophs are most of the animals and most microorganisms. They need to consume other organisms in order for them to produce energy. If plants uses photosynthesis in order for it to produce the necessary energy for it to survive, most animals, on the other hand, uses the process of cellular respiration. So when we talk about cellular respiration, it is the set of metabolic reactions and processes that take place in the cells of organisms to convert biochemical energy that comes from the food that they consume from nutrients into adenosine triphosphate or ATP and releases waste products. If photosynthesis happens in the chloroplast, cellular respiration, on the other hand, happens on the mitochondria. So when we talk about cellular respiration, so it is the process by which the energy of glucose is released into the cell to be used for life processes. This includes for movement, breathing, blood circulation, and others. Here are the important concepts that you should remember for cellular respiration. Cellular respiration includes aerobic respiration, which requires oxygen. With this, you should always remember that for cellular respiration, it occurs in the mitochondria of the cell. So, mitochondria is also known as the powerhouse of the cell because this is where energy is being produced. Now, a total of 38 adenosine triphosphate of molecules is produced through aerobic respiration. And the general formula for aerobic respiration is this one. Now let us look at the process of cellular respiration. Now, the raw materials needed for cellular respiration would be the glucose. Remember that glucose comes from the food that had been consumed by the consumers. Cellular respiration has the following stages. The first one is glycolysis, which produces 2-adenosine triphosphate, and it takes place in the cytoplasm. The second stage would be the Krebs cycle, which produces another 2-adenosine triphosphate again. And the last one would be the electron transport chain, which produces 34-adenosine triphosphate, which would now be used by the organism for other body processes. And you should remember that cellular respiration takes place in the mitochondria. So here is a quick summary for the process of cellular respiration. So the first one is glycolysis, the second one would be the Krebs cycle, and the third one is the electron transport chain. Now ultimately, the main goal for the cellular respiration is to produce energy that would be used now by the organism. Now, let us sum up the process of cellular respiration. Now, it all starts by consuming glucose that comes from the food that is being eaten by organisms. Now, together with oxygen as the raw materials, it enters now the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell. Now, remember that the main purpose or the main goal of the cellular respiration is to provide the needed energy for the organism in order for it to go with its body processes. Now, cellular respiration is divided into three processes. The first one is glycolysis, the second is Krebs cycle, and the third one is the electron transport chain. For glycolysis, you should remember that it's anaerobic, meaning it doesn't need oxygen. It takes place in the cytoplasm, and its main product would be 2-adenosine triphosphate. On the Krebs cycle, on the other hand, it is aerobic, means it uses oxygen. It takes place in the mitochondrial matrix. It produces 2-adenosine triphosphate, water, and glucose. On the other hand, the last stage for cellular respiration, it is aerobic, meaning it uses oxygen and takes place in the intermembrane space and produces ultimately 34 adenosine triphosphates. This time, let us compare and differentiate between photosynthesis and cellular respiration. So to start with, photosynthesis takes place in the chloroplast, whereas on the other hand, cellular respiration takes place in the mitochondria. For the raw materials needed for photosynthesis to happen, we have the light energy, carbon dioxide, and water. On the other hand, for cellular respiration, the raw materials would be oxygen and sugars. Now, for the main product of photosynthesis, of course, that would be sugar in the form of glucose, and its byproduct will be oxygen. On the other hand, the main product for mitochondria, or the main goal, is to produce adenosine triphosphate, wherein it is a form of energy, and its byproducts will be carbon dioxide and water. Now, if we are going to observe the process of photosynthesis and cellular respiration clearly indicates a delicate balance between organisms, or the so-called interconnectivity. As you all know, that animals depends on plants in order for it to gain the source of energy in the form of glucose and of course oxygen. On the other hand, plants benefits from other organisms in the form of carbon dioxide and water that is produced by these organisms. That's it. So I hope you have enjoyed our video. So please feel free to subscribe, ring the bell, and comment if you have other questions or suggestions for our next video lesson. Einsteinatics out.